Hi guys, I'm Lexi. I am the creative and intuitive behind Healing at the Heart. Excuse me. And I'm coming on video today because I normally answer a lot of questions and emails about my teachings and my life experiences and my stories. I usually answer them by writing, and I respond to different posts in some Facebook groups and stuff. And I've lately just had a much stronger desire to connect with people in a little more heartfelt and authentic way for me, which is being more vulnerable and putting myself in front of people. So I have decided that I'm going to be answering more questions on video and sharing them with the group. Sometimes I'll be going live when I can. Right now there's a monsoon storm outside where I live, and the signal was not allowing me to connect online for very good quality at all. So this is a pre-recorded video. Well, I guess I was trying to think of where to start today, but the main topic that I'm going to talk about that I've had come up recently and quite a bit in the past was how I moved through my fear of dying. And even more so for me was my fear of living with debilitating illness for the rest of my life. Like those are two major fears I think a lot of people have, and especially when you have a chronic illness that you feel you're really suffering from that has really physical symptoms. There sometimes is that thought that crosses your mind, like, you know, I don't think I can do this. This is really awful. And that fear sets in, like, what if I never heal? What if I'm doomed to suffer forever? And it's quite common that you can fall into a despair and a hopelessness. And it's really sticky and hard to move through. And I was there. And I just, felt like I was going to die from the fear. It was that intense. So normally when I talk to people about what they're going through, I get intuitive cues and messages, and I can kind of hone in on the individual's energy and what specifically is going on for them. But this is kind of new for me doing this in video, and obviously this is a more general audience. So I thought what I would go ahead and do is share one of my stories about what I was going through at the time that this all came about for me, and go from there. So let me a second here. So I've never shared this particular part of my challenge before, and I can feel it even a little bit here. In my chest and my throat, I can feel it sticking a little bit because it's not something I have spoken about a lot out loud. I have done quite a bit of writing, and I'm getting ready to publish my main healing journey type story. But being here in front of all of you is a very different experience. So here it goes. So on the topic, how did I move through the fear of possibly living my entire life in extreme pain and suffering with illness? Well, first of all, I had ulcerative colitis for 15 years. I was diagnosed at 17 years old, and it was not easy. It was a very, very rough go. It was very active. It would go from moderate to severe, depending on the stress in my life mostly. I'd always believed in doing a more holistic alternative healing approach, so I did lots of diets and supplements and homeopathics and herbs. I did fasts. I did like a 21-day fast, which did help bring some relief, but it didn't help me heal like the doctors thought it would. And, it was a long journey, and at the end of that journey, in 2014, I got to a point where I had 2 small children, and the ulcerative colitis was at its all-time high. For those of you that don't know, the symptoms of this particular irritable bowel disease is I had ulcers in my large intestines, hundreds of ulcers, and they would just regularly bleed, causing lots of pain and inflammation. So I would, being really candid here, I would have basically, really bloody, very painful, felt like acid ripping through my gut, really bad. Bowel movements, bloody diarrhea, at least 20 times a day, a lot of times more. Sometimes it was every 10 minutes for hours, and especially during the night, it was relentless. So I didn't ever really sleep. I was still trying to take care of 2 small kids. I was trying to survive while my body was not absorbing any nutrients. My food, I'd eat something and it would go through me within about 2.5 hours. It was already through me, which, does nothing for your body. You need to have that food in there to be able to absorb your nutrients. And towards the end of 2014, I was at my highest stress, really, really high stress, and it had been a long journey. And I remember the pain was so bad. It was so bad that it got to the point where every time I would run to the bathroom, I would brace myself. I put my hand on either end of the wall while I was on the toilet, and I would brace myself because the pain felt like somebody stabbing me with a knife in the abdomen and ripping that knife across my gut. Oh, it's hard for me to even talk about a little bit still, because I do remember what that was like. And I would brace myself for blacking out. I didn't want to fall off the toilet and hit my head and, injure myself. And this was 20 plus times a day. I would run to the bathroom just clenching and dreading, what was inevitable, waiting for myself to pass out. I never quite passed all the way out. I would get to where all I could see was white. The pain was so bad. And, at that point, the doctors were trying to give me pain medication, and I would go for the strongest medications. But anybody who's been on pain medication for, strong pain medication for illness probably already knows, when you're on those drugs, you can't do anything else. I could hardly even stay awake. The drugs would knock me out so bad. And then I'd have rebound withdrawal symptoms. So it was no solution, especially if you want to be able to take care of your children, too. So I was in a really bad state. I was at the lowest. I don't think depression even explains it. It was more of like despair, like the worst suffering I could ever imagine. I remember one day I was laying in the bathtub because that was all that would stop and soothe some of the pain, was just staying in hot water. So I would just spend as much time as I could in baths. And I remember laying there and just kind of asking up to the universe, asking God, there's got to be more to life than this. And if there isn't, then I'm ready to go. And that was really hard for me because I didn't want to leave my 2 small children without a mother. And I had been fighting and fighting for so long, and I was afraid of dying. Not for me, I wasn't actually afraid of death. I have a spiritual, metaphysical view to life, and I know that death is just another beginning. It's nothing to be afraid of, and it was nothing that caused me fear. I just didn't want to leave my kids without a mother. I didn't want to die. I had so many dreams and so many things I wanted to live for, but when you're in that much pain, it's just, it's like if you're not going to get better, you're not going to feel better. It's a real, desperate feeling. It's awful. It doesn't feel good. And so I remembered, sitting there over the bathtub, just, talking to God, spirit, universe, whatever. And it's like, there's got to be more to life. You've got to show me that there's more to life, because I don't know what else to do. I didn't want to take my own life, certainly, but I didn't want to live any longer, certainly not 50, 60 more years in such extreme pain and suffering. And I remember that day, I just decided I was so tired of all the treatments and the medications and everything I had done up until that point to try and fix this problem of the disease, that I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore. It was exhausting me. I had a really hard time giving up because I thought giving up, fixing this disease meant that I was giving up on life. And I know now giving up is actually the best thing you could ever do when you're faced with something in your life that is so frustrating that you see it as a problem and is, there's just no way you could have any control over it. And so I gave up that night. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with the diets. I am done with the supplements. I'm going to let myself slip away because I am done. I didn't want to suffer anymore. anymore. And I had this sigh of relief when I made that decision to stop fighting it and to just come into, it was really more like coming into an acceptance of what was. And, it could only happen at that point where I was really ready to change my story. I was ready to let go of the struggle, of the need to fight myself, the need to fix what I saw was a problem. It was then that I was able to finally come into acceptance of what is, because there was nothing left. There was just nothing left. And this relief washed over my body. And I felt the tension in my gut and where the pain was and all this cramping and upset. I felt it start to loosen and some relief washed over me. And I suddenly had this sense that I could breathe deeper and that I was going to be okay. And I don't know how else to explain this. It was just like I had hit my rock bottom. I had let go. I had surrendered. And that was what my body needed. It needed a little bit of me to back off, to let myself off the hook, to just be okay with everything the way it was, even though I didn't like it. It was just suddenly like, you know what? I don't like what's going on. I don't know what to do. I am where I am, and it's okay. It's okay to feel miserable. It's okay to want to die. It's okay to want to live. It's okay to not want to do what the doctors say. It's all okay. Because either way, even if I end up dying, it's just another beginning. It's just a new experience, a new journey. Everybody, I leave back here on earth is going to, continue to live without me. And it was just this sense of like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I fight it. It doesn't matter if I don't fight it. Everything is okay, exactly how it is. And any choices I make for my life will be just fine. And so that was the beginning of me, starting to let go and starting to be willing to see things differently. And I didn't do all of this myself either. These past, years, I've had other spiritual teachers and mentors, and, I watched other videos from people that, really helped me on my journey be more easy on myself and to move forward. And I've gone to energy healers and seen channels and all sorts of stuff. So I don't want anyone to think that all I did was change my thoughts and poof, my body healed, because that's not true. And anyone who tells you, like that's what they did, I have to say there's more to it. It would be nice to be able to just change my thoughts and suddenly my body heals, but that's not exactly what happened. It was more about connecting to my intuition that led me to the right people and the right resources that helped my body heal. So, one of the biggest thing when you're thinking about, do I want to spend the rest of my life suffering from illness? That's the big thing. This is where the big fear of living a long time with illness really comes from. It's not about the illness. We think it is. In our heads, we really think that in order to have what we want in life, in order to be free and to do all the things we want to do, we have to be healthy. And we hold ourselves to the standard of what health looks like and, what a perfect body looks like. And all of it is very unrealistic in reality. It's unrealistic from a metaphysical perspective because everything is perfect already the way it is, even if you don't like it. It's all, helping you and working for you. Oh, goodness. I am like really hot now that I just shared all that. So, you just got to be willing to change your story. If you want that fear, which is just a vibration, it's not going to hurt you. It's okay to be afraid of dying. It's okay to be afraid of suffering for a long time. It's all okay. It's not true. You don't know that you're going to die. No one knows that. And you don't know that you're going to live forever suffering with illness. You might think you are. The doctors might say you are, depending on what you have going on, but nobody knows that. It's not true. And so, you can tell yourself, I can choose how I want to feel. I have to be willing to change my story. A lot of us identify with illness and we give it a lot of meaning, and we really think we know where we're going with this and why this happened. And most of the time, we really don't know. We might have a sense of it, but we really don't know what the future looks like. You can only live moment to moment, and in that moment, you have to be willing to change your story. You have to be willing to stop telling the story of how bad you feel. You have to be willing to turn your attention off of your symptoms and onto something that's working really, really well for you in your life. Excuse me. And I know for me, because I was in such extreme pain, I mean, like I said, I was at the point of blacking out. The pain just doesn't get worse than that. It was, never, ever would I ever wish that my worst enemy. Lost my train of thought for a second. Yeah, but I had to be willing to drop the story. I had to be willing, and I had to, the way I put it is, you got to be stubborn about this. It's so easy, you think you spend your whole lifetime working your thoughts into a certain pattern and focusing in a certain way on things that have helped direct your reality and have helped basically manifest this illness for you. And it's really powerful when you can see how things were created and how you can change. And it's really it was just where you put your focus on. So even when I was on the toilet bracing myself, against the walls, I would tell myself, it's okay to be afraid right now of this pain. Because I knew it was coming, it was inevitable, it was right then at that time. No, I hadn't had any healing yet. And I used to tell myself, knowing the pain was coming, it's okay if I pass out. It's okay that I don't like this pain. It's okay that I don't like this pain. Excuse me. It's okay that I believe I'm suffering. It's okay that I believe I'm never going to heal. It's okay that I don't like this belief. And I just kept talking myself down, because it's not the fear that's hurting you. It's not the fear that's keeping you stuck. It's your resistance to the fear. A lot of us are trying so hard not to feel that fear and to put that brave face on and to keep fighting and to, somehow overcome what we're going through. But you don't need to do any of that. And honestly, all of that prolongs it. That's what prolongs your suffering. It's because you're trying so hard not to feel that fear of dying, that fear of living with illness, that fear of suffering. I mean, that's really what it is, right? It's the fear of suffering. It's the fear that we're going to have some kind of pain or disability that's going to reduce our quality of life, for the rest of whatever that life is. That's what keeps us stuck. That's what starts to create the imbalance in our lives. That's what helps contribute to illness. It's resistance to everything, all those uncomfortable emotions. So it's okay to feel afraid. It's okay to be afraid. Let yourself off the hook. Talk to your body. It's okay that you're doing what you're doing, body. I don't like it. It's okay that I don't like it, but it's okay that it's going on. It's actually not a problem. It's just here to shine light where I need to, look at, maybe there's something here for me that this is helping me uncover. Maybe it's, maybe I've been using this illness as a crutch, as a way to, keep myself from having to show up in the world as my authentic self. Maybe I've, had not allowed myself to express, all these emotions from childhood, and they're just kind of, I'm just keeping them in certain areas of my body, and my body's now speaking to me, hey, we need to move this. We want to move this energy on. This is not serving you any longer. Maybe there's just old beliefs that aren't true for you, that a lot of us, hold from childhood, a lot of conditioning, stuff from our parents, stuff passed down, that's not ours. It's not in alignment with who we are. And when we hold on to those beliefs and we don't follow our own intuition and keep going into our own authenticity, who we want to be, how we want to show up in the world, then our body starts to show. Our body starts to show where that imbalance is and where we need to step back and look back into our hearts and what our heart is really telling us. So So, I mean, even when it's illness, even when it's an illness that's so bad that everybody's telling you you're not going to recover, everything in our reality follows our vibration. It's always vibration first. You can listen to what people have to say if you want to, but if it's causing you fear, unless you have to listen to your doctors, of course, be smart with that. But if it's causing you fear for the most part, I would tune it out. I would say, thank you, but this isn't for me. Because I am only going to focus on what starts to feel better to me. I'm only going to focus on the thoughts that bring me more relief. They may not feel good. And this is another thing too. I'll say this. Your intuition will always lead you to the next best feeling thought. If that feels better, your intuition constantly wants you to come into alignment with yourself and your authentic self and your inner self, who you really are, the love that you really are. Oh, excuse me. See, I'm not used to sharing so much. I'm going to have to get my voice used to talking a little bit more in front of a video. Oh, where was I going with that? Oh, bummer. I hate it when my mind loses it like that. Yeah, I forgot. So I was just going to talk about, I guess, vibration first. So you really want to put more emphasis on what you want to believe and what thoughts are true for you. And when you start to focus on the things in your life that are going well, the rising tide raises all ships. So if you're, struggling with illness and you really don't feel good, take your focus off the illness. Take it off the illness. Go put it on something that is working really well. For me, it was always going and stepping outside in nature and taking like deep breaths of fresh air, feeling the warm sun on my skin. That's what I would focus on, because that felt better than thinking about when, my next bathroom trip was going to be, or, what I could eat that wouldn't cause so much pain. You have to be really diligent until you start to retrain that mind. It took a long time to train your mind into worry, into stress, into anxiety. So it's going to take a little bit of diligence and time to train your mind into focusing on what's going good, focusing on where you want to be, focusing and imagining on how you want to feel. And as you start to raise that vibration, it raises everything. Your relationships improve. Your body starts to relax and feel better. Everything around you starts to feel a little bit less tense. I know where I was going with that. I remembered. I was gonna say, sometimes your intuition always leads you to the best next feeling thought. Whatever is in your highest and greatest good. It does not always lead you to a good feeling thought or action, but it will always lead you to a better feeling thought or action. So I want people also to know that, following your intuition and focus on things that feel better, sometimes it feels better to be really angry than it does to be in despair or depression. And I would go with that. If you're feeling angry, let yourself feel angry and be okay with it, because that's energy that's moving. That's like, fear is stuck. Despair is stuck. Hopelessness is stuck. But anger is not stuck. Anger is energy that moves out and evolves away from you. And then you feel lighter and lighter, and then the good stuff starts to come in. The happiness, the joy, you notice your body doesn't hurt as much. It's feeling a little bit better, a little bit more relaxed. But you gotta really notice. Make a point to notice the things that are starting to feel better, the things that are starting to work, the things that you really do like about your life. And raising your vibration, which is, changing your thoughts about everything you don't like in your life, deciding that you are only going to look for the good, will, start to heal on all levels. And our physical body follows our vibration. So that's, I guess, just where I wanted to go with that. Notice the good things. My paper here, I just have a few little notes. And, it's okay. Just want to tell you, it's okay. 4 years ago, I would have never thought I would be sitting here, healed. Not completely symptom-free either, but I'm healed as far as I'm concerned. I feel good. I, go out and I do most of the things I want to do. And I just, purposely make sure I focus on how I feel. I don't focus on the little symptoms that I do have, because then that would cause me to spiral back down and notice more symptoms, and then more symptoms would pop up. And I don't want that. I definitely want to focus on going forward as my body is following me and continuing to heal. So I hope that helps. I know I don't give out, like programs or step-by-step processes to do, because it's different for everyone and different things are going to come up for everyone. If you want to ever check in on how you're doing with your fear of dying or your fear of, living with the illness for a long time, one way you can check in and see how you're doing with that is to ask yourself, how would I feel if I had to live with this illness the rest of my life? Imagine how would I feel right now knowing that I'm going to have this illness the rest of my life? And if that triggers you into feeling like you want to crawl into a ball and hide under your sheets, then you've got some work to do there with some resistance and some feeling. But if that thought, of living with the illness the rest of your life actually causes you to be angry, and I'm talking about someone who's coming from despair, causes you to feel anger, then you're on your way to actually feeling better and to actually healing. Because anger is above despair, it's above hopelessness. And moving that anger out will only continue to lighten you and lighten you. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of that. If some of that resonated with you, great. And if not, well, you know what? Just take it or leave it. You don't have to take my word for anything. You have your own intuition that will tell you what's right and wrong for you at any time. And just because I say something's true doesn't necessarily mean it's true for you. But I feel pretty good about everything that I've gone through and what I've learned along the way. So if you like this video and want to see more videos, they won't all be this long for sure, but I will answer more questions for people, definitely over video, maybe do some live Q&A Facebook videos. And I also have a little mini series coming up that I'm making right now, which is like a Metaphysics 101, which is, basically like how to connect to your intuition. I'm doing one on intuition, how to start, trusting your intuition. What is it? Why do you want to follow it? I'm going to do one on directing your reality. What is that about? How are we, excuse me, how are we creating the things that we are in our lives? Because we are powerfully creating even the things we really don't like. It's true. So I'm going to be putting together a series of videos just to help kind of give a different perspective and what that's all about. So if you did like this video, please go to my Facebook page, Healing at the Heart, and on the left side of your computer screen, you should see a reviews tab. And if you wouldn't mind clicking on that and leaving me a little review, I think you can do stars or leave like a comment or something. That'll help share more of this page, and I can get to reach more people and hopefully help more people find some relief in their lives. Hope you guys all have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.